ask you some questions if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you first to start out with how long you've been reselling and how you got started. Because I know before you were running, if I remember right, cloth diapering business. Is that right?
That was
a while
ago.
ago. Yeah.
So I actually sold that business. I believe it was 2015 or 16, but I started reselling in June of last year, so I'll be 1 year on the 15th.
This summer.
Officially, because I listed my first item and it sold within, I don't know, 45 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I started with eBay. So I went full-time at I've been full-time for 9 months now. September 1st will be my 1 year anniversary for being full-time.
Awesome.
And this is my only job. I definitely, pinched pennies and saved everywhere I could and cut costs to bare bones so that I could leave my job and do this full-time. And honestly, it's taken about a solid 6 months to really find a good flow of between homeschooling my kid and reselling and all of the different aspects that go into reselling, in addition to taking care of myself and self-care and all of that. So, but I think I found a flow now and it feels really good. And so how I got started was actually that I saw Facebook posts that you were posting, Lee, about, I think you were just telling everybody that you've been reselling and that you're happy to do consignment or donations, to accept donations to resell the stuff. And then from that, I don't remember how, but I came across your blog, and that was like taking a dive off of the high dive. I jumped right in, and I was reading everything that I possibly could on your blog. They put those little suggested articles from your blog at the bottom of each article, and I just kept jumping from one to the next to the next.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it was definitely, you were my inspiration. You're the reason I got started, from seeing what you're selling and what you're doing and the blog posts that you're posting. And, obviously over this last year, continued to watch you grow as a reseller and helping other people grow with Freedom Listers. And of course, I became part of that as well. And where I got inventory to start was that we had just had a yard sale and there was a lot of clothes left over. And I could kick myself now.
Yeah, because you probably sold things like really cheap.
Right, yeah, I was selling, especially on the last day, it was a Sunday, and we were just trying to get rid of everything as fast as possible. And we were selling things for like 50 cents to $1. And then I think it was the next week, I think it was Memorial Day weekend that we were selling, and the next week I decided that I'm going to go ahead and sell. And my grandmother had passed away the previous June, so I had a lot of stuff that I knew for sure was vintage, and I thought maybe I would take it to one of those consignment stores that sells vintage, and instead ended up keeping that, and I never ended up taking it. And so I started with what we had from what I found at my grandma's house after she had passed, and then all of the stuff that we had left over that obviously we had just cleaned out our closets. So we had a lot of clothes that, a couple big trash bags full of clothes that I started with listing, and I started bare bones. I didn't hardly include any information in my listings, no measurements, anything like that. But that's how I made money to then start thrifting and finding things outside of our home to then flip and resell.
That's awesome, because I think a lot of people do have, things around or from family members that they can start with, and then, be able to build up that money to buy inventory, but also like lighting kit and, some of those more important things when it comes to reselling. So yeah, that's really great. And then I love how you just jumped in and did it, because yeah, that's, I guess, a big part of it, and the difference between somebody who just sits back on the sidelines and is like, well, this looks really cool, but I don't want to jump in and try. And then you've got, people like you that are like, I'm doing it. Yeah, and that's what you've done.
In all honesty, I actually had noticed that you were reselling about a year before, and I think I reached out to you and asked you a few questions.
Yeah.
And I never did anything with it.
Yeah.
I got overwhelmed really fast, and I decided, it wasn't. I was still. I had a business at the time that got closed from COVID, but I was really busy with that, and I was kind of just thinking that we could clear out the house from selling, but I ended up, deciding that the timing wasn't right, and I kind of let it go for about a year and then came back to it. So yeah, even if you don't take the jump the first time, if it comes back to you, to me, that's a great sign to just give it a shot.
Yeah, for sure.